When you're in this kind of position, when you're one of the first, like Kamala Harris, you're just kind of loaded with all these expectations, and you're just under way more scrutiny.
During such time as I hold the office of District Attorney for the City and County of San Francisco.
Congratulations.
Please welcome the Vice President-elect of the United States of America, Kamala Harris.
It's hard, I think, to overstate the importance of the election of Kamala Harris as the first woman vice president, the first Black vice president, the first South Asian vice president.
She just represents so many, this tidal change in the country. There's an ease in whether she's dancing to a drum line at, an HBCU or, dragging someone in a Senate hearing.
Secretary Kelly, what do you mean below the radar? They have two choices and they are accountable. Excuse me, sir.
I think there's this cultural fluidity that she has that we can expect to see her bring to the table as well.
She, she's, first of all, the first HBCU graduate. I'm a Howard graduate, so that's huge to me. She will be judged on what she wears and how she says it, and if she uses her hands or not, what her hair looks like. She has to continuously stand in her voice and her decisions because they're always challenged. You saw this in the debate, the I'm speaking now.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. I'm speaking.
We are at a point in time when I think people were saying, when will it happen? When will we see a woman in politics take over?
This election cycle in particular has also presented very legitimate questions about the challenges of women running for president of the United States.
Barbara Jordan and Shirley Chisholm come around in a time when Black politicians are starting to be elected.
There is a great need for more women in the political arena. I happen to believe that there are certain aspects of legislation that probably would be given much more attention if we had more women's voices in the halls of the legislatures on the city, state, and national level.
When I spoke with Carol Moseley Braun, and she talked about her experiences as the first Black woman, and she was kind of gobsmacked by the pushback that she encountered, that she became this symbolic stand-in for everyone.
And if there's anybody in this chamber, indeed anybody in this world, that has a doubt that the Confederate effort was around preserving the institution of slavery, then I am prepared, and I believe history is prepared, to dispute them to the end.
Everything about her was scrutinized, from the way she filled out a Chanel twin set to her stance on welfare reform.
We know that sexism is still rampant, gender discrimination, misogyny in this country. There certainly is racism.
Become president of the United States. In order to
I want him to show his birth certificate. I want him to show his birth certificate. There's something on that birth certificate that he doesn't like.
We had hoped with the election of Barack Obama, not that it would be the end of racism, but that maybe our country had turned a page, and I think it did, both symbolically and substantively, to have an African American elected not once but twice to the presidency. But having said that, we know there was severe blowback to him based on his race.
There's a great district attorney in San Francisco whose name is Kamala Harris. They call her the female Barack Obama. I mean, people aren't very imaginative about these things anymore.
We've seen politicians of color who are like the first are often very constrained by what they can do. Black voters helped put her into office. They have certain expectations, or will have expectations. She's going to be a much more active participant in, the political process, just because she's going to be the tiebreaker in the Senate. So that she's at this point, the most powerful woman in the country.
We saw craziness only over the last 4 years that I can only compare to Reconstruction. And to think that this is what she's stepping into, right? You're stepping into racial divide. You're stepping into political divide that we haven't seen before. Both President-elect Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, they have to deal with these things. And it will be interesting to see how they deal with them.
In terms of policy, in terms of symbolism, and in terms of being the proverbial heartbeat away from the presidency, this is going to be an amazing role for Kamala Harris to play.
But while I may be the first woman in this office, I will not be the last.